hope you guys are having a great day today. I'm Jennifer, and this is...
And I'm Emily.
Yes, oh, she's so enthusiastic. We're filming this actually after school, so you can see she's got no energy whatsoever. Today we are doing the sew along for View C of the new Brenda brief. So I will show you a sneak preview before I put it on the table. For this version, I do show you how to apply the stretch lace on the waistline and on the legs. And we do it in two passes. I do it to attach the lace to the leg first, and then I go back and I do the zigzag around the scalloped edge to keep it secure and in place. This piece also has a side panel. This one is made with lace, but you could certainly do this with any other color or fabric to color block it. And everything is clean finished on the inside. What are you doing with your finger, kiddo? You're just trying to find the edge of the screen? You're so silly. I hope you enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe and comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. So now this is View C, and I can use a regular jersey fabric for this pattern piece, but I decided that I wanted to use a lace. So this is just slightly different, and I'm actually going to cut both at once. So yes, I know I could probably save some lace, kind of nesting them together, but I have so much lace, and I'm sure at some point I'll be like, why did I do that? I wish I had that piece of lace now. Okay, so this piece is going to be lace, and I'm still doing the grain straight up and down, so it stretches across. But what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be constructing this a little bit different. But it's still going to be the same way. So this is View C. Okay, now up here at the top there is a notch, and this is where the side seams come together. So I'm actually I'm going to pin that here, but I'm not going to actually physically notch it because I don't want a hole. It's more for guidance. So this design is a much lower cut version. And the pattern pieces are very different because of the way the original cut was. I had to change it significantly. So it wasn't a matter of just shortening it. I actually had to change the pattern pieces because there would have been a tiny little sliver, and I did experiment with different things, and this kind of was the best solution, and I'm very happy with it. Okay. So View C and D both use the same front and back. I'm not going to cut here because I'm going to do that with scissors. All of this one is completed. And for this one, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. We're not going to use a regular fabric over here. We're just going to use a piece of lace, so that way we'll have the edges finished. And instead of using fold over elastic, we're going to use a stretch lace around the waistline and the leg openings. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pin and go right sides together, and I think that is correct. We're going to line these pieces up right here. And flip that over. And it is flimsy, so sometimes it's a little difficult to manage. And then we're going to do this so the right sides are facing each other. So we have the right side, actually the right side facing the wrong side. so we can clean finish this front seam. Okay, then we're going to I'm going to roll this around so I'm looking at the right side of this back. And then we're going to take with our right side together, the right side of the back to the right side of the crotch pattern. It's moving on me. And then I'm going to roll the back and the front all together so I can clean finish both the front and back seams. So then I'm actually sandwiching the back with this seam. My kitty is getting into some trouble, so she may end up making her way over here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew both of these, and then I will come back and we will work on finishing up the lace, this little side panels on the lace, and our stretch lace for the leg and waistline. So I'm making sure that my flimsy fabric's up at the top. My blade is all the way up on the foot. I'm going to lift my foot up and slide that in. I know that my stitch is sewn at 3/8 of an inch. Oh, and the kitty is coming by to say hello, so she might be here. Hopefully she will not get in the way of the garment. So we know our stitch is at 3/8 of an inch, so I know how much I need to cut off in order so that stitch is actually sitting at that 3/8 of an inch. You can use your pin to help hold the fabric down, and sometimes, looks like that time, it's wanting to actually fly back up into the, so I think sometimes it does that. It's kind of weird. Okay, so the one end is done. Shake it so we don't get anything else into the machine that shouldn't be in there. My blade is up. I'm sliding this in. This one I'm definitely using my needle to kind of force that in there, because this purple fabric seems to be rolling a lot more than the other stuff was. So right now it's trying to make its way back onto this. So I'm just kind of almost done. There we go. Okay, so we have the front and back seams that are complete, and I'll meet you back at the table so we. Okay, so we are on D, and what we're going to do next is we are going to attach our side seams. So this is going to be a little bit trickier because we have to, so if you look here, so we have our side seams here, and we need to stitch these two ends together at that 3/8 of an inch, and then we need to sew this one together at 3/8 of an inch. So then we can add the lace piece that goes onto the side. We can't do that until we have this seam stitched together. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the overlock machine and get that stitched down so we can continue on. Okay, for this one, we are going to work on trying to put our lace piece, our little panel that just happens to be lace. I'm going to trim up all of my thread tails and make sure everything is kind of looking nice and peachy. around the edges. I'm just going to take a peek over here. Looks pretty good. Might want to take and trim up this little bump out right there, so when we have the elastic that goes across it, we don't have any issues. Okay, now we're going to look at the right side. And then we need to get these pieces. Okay, so this is, it's going to be on the back side. So this is going to be on this side, and this is going to be on this side. So the longer end that goes towards the back of the garment. And here I do have a pin at the top. We're going to see how well we are at that. So I'm going to pin this. So I always do the front. And actually we've got that pin for the side seam, so I'm actually just going to take and pin that right there at the side. And flop this over all the way to the bottom. So this is just a little bit tricky, and when you're working with really flimsy fabrics, you got to have a little bit of patience on here. So I would say let's deal with the front side first. So kind of get that in there. Okay, that side seam pin worked just fine. Now we're going to look at this piece. And luckily the back is pretty straight for the most part. So you have this little curve right after the side. Okay, we have one side completely pinned. Now let's go over to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch these on with the overlock machine, and then the last step will be to put the elastics on. For this one I'm going to sew it, so I think actually we'll do it so my purple's is up. So I'm going to reposition that first pin. Make sure both the lace and the fabric are underneath the, and then I'm going to use my pin to hold it in place. I'm up to the side seam. Side one is done. this panty is going to be done a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to clip off kind of these hanging bits. And we are going to be using a lace edge around the leg and the waistline. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch them together kind of with a seam. Now I'm not going to make this real big, probably maybe 1/4 of an inch. One side, one piece done. Of course, with the right side together. We're just going to attach them so we can attach them and sew them in the round. Now we can also do that for the waistband. Since I already have that here, I might as well just do it and I'll set it down. Waist to the back. Okay, so we've got our lace and we can apply it either this way, so you've got kind of the little decorative edge coming off the side, or you can have it come this way. Now either way I probably would end up doing around 2 different stitches to kind of get this held on. For simplicity's sake, we're going to attach it so the smaller scallops are kind of on the leg edge. So I'm kind of taking my lace, opening it up, and then finding a place probably around the middle of the crotch area. And I'm just going to kind of overlap right on that edge, so the lace will just be kind of coming right over the edge. So we want to try and 1/4 our lace, so at least kind of find the halfway point of that, the halfway point of the leg, so we can kind of get this kind of pinned in place. And then from those half points, then I try and find the 1/4 point. And so I'm just kind of lining up so the scallop is just kind of peeking right over the edge. Okay. Just like that. So as I'm going to be sewing around, I'm actually going to use a tiny little zigzag. And what we can do is I can actually do it on this side, so I make sure that things are lining up right. Now we got to be careful that the lace doesn't get pulled into the feed dogs. I would definitely try and do a sample first, and if for some reason your feed dogs start pulling your lace, then I would definitely get some tissue paper to put underneath it, or switch around and stitch on top. So I'm just kind of finding a point right around, really anywhere. And I'm going to do a smallish type of zigzag. Not too wide, but not too narrow either, because we don't want it to snap as you're putting it on your body. Okay. And then just kind of, I'm going around the edge, just applying the edge of it. Now if I had a better matching color, it might be a little less noticeable when I actually finish it. So I'm kind of taking this, and I'm actually going to stretch this a little bit, kind of stretch my lace a little bit to match it. And once we get the lace on, then we can go back and address the other side of the lace. Okay, we got that crotch lining right there. And try and flatten that, straighten that out. So I'm kind of taking kind of where the quarters are and trying to kind of reposition it as I go. Stretching out the lace a little bit. And I'm right about to the end. I'm just going to stitch right past where I started sewing. So we don't need to do a back stitch. Okay. And so I've got my first run of the elastic on. Now I'm going to do the second run, and then I'm probably either going to speed up the video so you can see the rest of it done real quick. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do it on this side with this side up. Actually, let's flip it so we don't accidentally start sewing something we shouldn't. And what I want to do is I want to try and sew around the scallops. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit just so the lace lays flat. And then I'm just going to try and take it and kind of keep moving it as I go around. So kind of moving the lace. So I'm kind of sewing in that little scallop. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to tack it down so it doesn't kind of roll as you're wearing it. I'm back to where I started. I can take a peek. So you can see on the inside that there are 2 rows of stitches that I did. And on the outside, you can see that it does not flop over. Kind of stays nice and secure. It stays nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to do that to the other leg and then to the waistband. once I clean up all my threads, these are completed.